Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Okay. Guys, please check it. What we completed there in the last session. Any idea what exactly the content here we completed there in the last session? I think so. We are discussing about persistence mechanisms related to Java. Java persistence mechanisms. The topic here we are discussing there. Serialization and deserialization. The topic we completed. Right, sir. And serialization, deserialization, we completed. Now we have to understand about that next mechanism. The next mechanism would be like what there. Right now, JDBC persistence mechanism that we have to understand. Right, sir. Data persistence through JDBC. Another topic is what is it? Data persistence through JDBC. But before coming for this, what exactly the problems are available with the serialization and deserialization? In the above serialization and deserialization, we serialize an object and we send the serialized data to a particular target file. If the target file is a file system, it's a permanent storage area. So if we send data to the file system, then the data is stored permanently. So we are able to achieve data persistence through serialization and deserialization. Not only a file, and send it to any other system apart from this file system. We can send it to anything. There automatically that thing is acting as what their permanent storage area. Okay, right, sir. Anyway, data persistence we are able to achieve through serialization and deserialization. Next one is like what there. Some problems are available in serialization and deserialization. What problems can we are getting there? In the serialization and deserialization, we will store data in the form of flat file. That is in the file system. It is a platform dependent and it is not suitable for the platform independent programming languages like Java. Leave it. In serialization and deserialization, we are able to use only byte-oriented streams like object output stream and object input stream. So this persistence mechanism is suitable for only byte-oriented streams, not suitable for other data representations. Next one. In serialization, deserialization, we use it to store data in a file. In general, the file system is able to store less data. Good. In general, the serialization and deserialization persist mechanism is able to get data from the object and it is able to send data, and it will send data to the send the data to the outside in a file. So the file system is able to provide lesser security for the data. All right. Serialization and deserialization is a persistence mechanism. Is as a persistence mechanism is suitable for standalone applications. Serialization deserialization persistence mechanism is able to take a lot of Java code to achieve data persistence. That means to perform data persistence operations. Serialization and deserialization mechanisms are able to perform the database operations like insert and retrieve. It is not possible to perform update and delete operations. Serialization, deserialization does not have query language support, so it's very much difficult to perform database operations. That's now these are overall the content here what we are understanding clearly. So now here we need to understand the data persistence through JDBC. How data persistence is going on through JDBC. What exactly the mechanisms are existed here that we are going to understand now. Everybody understand this clearly, guys. Now today I'm going to ask some questions to you. Now try to answer for it. First of all, what is this JDBC, guys? What you are understanding about JDBC? Just I'm asking there. JDBC. What is this JDBC? Abbreviation is okay. Database Java database connectivity. Java database connectivity. All right. Connecting Java program to database. Nice. Provided by Sun Microsystems. Nice. You have to connect to the database, right? Framework to connect database from Java application. Framework. Is that JDBC is a framework? No, it's not a framework. Okay. Right. Nice. Then I'm able to give. Yeah. I'm able to give some definition for it. Now try to recognize this. What's the definition here I'm giving there? Try to recognize this. JDBC is a step-by-step process, comma, a technology, comma, an API or an API, comma, an abstraction provided by Sun Microsystems and implemented by all the database vendors. Okay, JDBC is a step-by-step process or a technology or an API, an abstraction provided by Sun Microsystems and implemented by all the database vendors. It can be used to interact with the database from Java applications in order to perform database operations from Java applications. That's it. Simple definition, guys. JDBC is a step-by-step process or a technology or an API or an abstraction provided by Sun Microsystems and implemented by all the database vendors. It can be used to interact with the database from Java applications in order to perform database operations from Java applications. That is the meaning of like what there JDBC. Understand, guys, what I'm telling there? This is exactly the content of like what there JDBC. You can understand, no? That's okay, fine. After understanding this JDBC content here, then what next one get? After this, what next one get? What you are going to understand there after completion of this? Clear. How we are going to create JDBC application, then how to connect with the database from Java applications. Everybody understand this clearly. In JDBC applications, to interact with the database from Java applications, we have to use the following steps. What steps can we are able to use that? We have to use the following steps. Then what steps can we are able to use? Let's say this point number one. Everybody understand this clearly. Point number one: load and register the driver, JDBC driver. Load and register the JDBC driver. How sir? How we are able to load and register the JDBC driver? How to do this particular one? Okay, then I'll give some clarity. Only the intersection here we have to write like what the class dot for name of, right. Here we can use like what there Aragil dot or maybe com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot driver. Guys, can you tell me what is this actually? Here I given some class name. Miss, what is this actually? It's a driver class name. Also carefully now this is like what the driver class name. Alright, next one is observe carefully. Parallelly, I want to represent the same thing in the form of a diagram so that you are able to understand clearly. Parallelly, I'm going to provide this. Now try to understand all of you guys. For example, this is my Java application. Okay. Here we are having some database. This is my database. So then as a first step, then what we have to do now, we have to make ready. First we have to make ready driver. Okay, then before that here we have to understand whenever we are having database, no, there we need to have database engine, database server or database engine, something else here we have to use. Database engine. Okay, database engine can interact with the database through username and password. Okay, database engine can interact with the database through what their username and password. Okay, after completion of this particular one, another thing is like what I'm telling there. After understanding this, here first of all as a first step, then what we have to do there, we have to make ready the driver. To make ready the driver, what we have to do there, class dot for name of, here we have to use com dot mysql dot cg dot jdbc dot driver. This is what exactly the instruction here we provided. So by this, then what happened here? Here automatically between Java application and database, here we are having a driver, JDBC driver. All right, of course, which driver we are using, that doesn't matter. Of course, in the code I have used type 4 driver, but my requirement is not like what there type 4 driver. My requirement is like what there anything, any type of driver. That is my intention. Okay, right, sir. Understand it? Understand the point here? What I am telling there. So driver is ready. Driver is already connected with the Java application. That's okay. Now this is step number 1. What we have right up to this part here we completed. Next one is what there after completion of this, then what exactly the work is going on. And maybe if you want to talk about the internals of this class dot for name method, there are so many things internally. What are the various things here we are getting there? First, here we have to understand like what there. So many things here I'm telling there. First, JVM will take that driver class name from class dot for name method. JVM will search for this dot class file in the current location or in the Java predefined library, and at the locations referred by class path environment variable. So this is available in class path environment variable only. Okay, then whenever it is available in class path environment variable, then directly JVM will take the driver class. JVM will load the driver class batch code to the memory. When JVM is loading the driver class batch code to the memory, whenever JVM is loading the driver class batch code to the memory, automatically a static block will be executed. By the execution of the static block, by the execution of this particular static block, no, by the execution of the static block, automatically a method will be executed. Driver manager dot register driver method. By the execution of the register driver method only, driver will be registered between driver will be registered for our JDBC application. So finally, that registration of the driver is going to be completed. Then after this, after completion of this, the second step is like what I'm telling to you. Establish the connection between Java application and database. Already we understood all these points in the case of JDBC classes. That's why I'm giving just roughly the points here directly. Okay. All right. Now establish a connection between Java application and database. Establish a connection between Java application and database. Okay. After understanding that established connection between Java application and database, what exactly? The next point here we have to understand that clearly. If you want to establish a connection between Java application and database, what instruction here we have to use? Connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection of 3 parameters here we have to provide. First of all, here we have to perform like what there. Right, you can understand clearly. JDBC colon MySQL colon slashes localhost colon 3306 slash Durga DB. This is like what I'm telling there. URL. Then after this, root comma root database password. This is the way to establish like what their connection. Connection here we are getting. Understand the same thing in the case of this diagram here. No? As a second step here, what we are able to provide there, we have to establish the connection between Java application and database. connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection of get connection of JDBC colon JDBC colon MySQL colon slashes localhost colon 3306 slash Durga DB. Then username and password here we have to provide comma root comma root. This is what you are getting clearly. Okay, fine. By this, then what happened here? Automatically, a connection will be established between Java application and database. It means that automatically a connection will be established between Java application and database. So directly here we are getting connection. There is a lot of story internally, but not required the total content here. But finally here, what is established here? Connection is established between Java application and database. Connection is established between Java application and database. Okay. All right. Next one is after this. Then okay. Now here Java application is ready. Database is ready. Connection is ready between Java application and database. Then both are ready. That's okay. Then what next one? Here? Between two checkpoints. No, road is ready. When road is ready, we need a carrier or not? Then to travel from one location to another location, we require some vehicle or not? Some vehicle. In that vehicle only we required some kind of passengers, right? So we required one vehicle. So that vehicle is nothing but what there our statement or a prepared statement or callable statement. It means that as a third step, then what we have to do there, step number 3, create either statement or prepared statement or callable statement as per the requirement. Anything here we can create. Anything, either of this. Create either the statement, either the statement or prepared statement or callable statement as per the requirement. Now here in this example, just I want to use only statement. I don't want to go with what there another content. Just I want to use only statement. Statement st is equal to con dot create statement. That's enough. Automatically statement is ready. Now here what I'm telling there in this case in the diagram, just we have to create the statement. Statement st is equal to con dot create statement. That method here we have called. If it is like what their prepared statement, then we can use con dot prepare statement. Or if it is a callable statement, just we have to call like what their con dot prepare call. Then means like what their prepare call or something else like this here we are able to use the content here. Now this is now what there the statement object here we created. Fine. When we created the statement object, when we created the statement object, when we create the statement object, then what exactly the work here we have to do? What next one? After creating statement object, no? Then we have to write and execute the SQL queries. Fourth one is what there? Write and execute the SQL query. SQL queries. To write and execute the SQL queries overall, How many methods are available, guys? Now tell me. I'm asking this question to everybody. To write and execute SQL queries, what exactly the methods are existed, guys? Now tell me. Any idea? Nearly 3 methods are available. Three methods are existed. What are the 3 methods here? Yeah, the first one is like what there? Execute query. Result set is a return type. Public result set. Execute query. String query throws exception. Public int execute update method. String query throws SQL exception. Public boolean execute method. String query throws SQL exception. Guys, now I'm asking one question to all of you guys. What is the purpose of using execute query method? Yes. What is the purpose of using execute query method? For select SQL queries. To execute the select SQL queries, we are using execute query method. Alright. For what purpose we are using execute update method? For what purpose we are using execute update method? Non-select SQL queries. Execute method is for what purpose there? For executing both. For executing both. Right. This is exactly the meaning of like what there. Write and execute that SQL queries. Okay. Alright. So now again, for example, here I'm using the example point of view. I'm using now a result set. RS is equal to, here we have to use st dot execute query select a star from emp1. Execute query select a star from emp1. Result set RS is equal to st dot execute query of select a star from emp1. Right. Now point number 5. What is this point number 5? No, after completion of this, after executing that, close the resources. What resources can we have to close there? Basically, rs dot close. We have to close this result set, or maybe st dot close or con dot close. Right, sir. Instead of closing all of them, simply we can close like what there only con dot close. That is sufficient. Only con dot close. That is sufficient. Not required to close all. Just con dot close. That is sufficient. Okay. Right, sir. Understand it, here. Con dot close. That's it. They are the things here we can understand clearly. How to close the resources. No, these are the things here we have to do. Right. Now here the same thing here I want to understand. Now try to understand it. Now statement here we executed. Now here let me go with what there. result set rs is equal to st dot execute query method, select a star from emp1. Right, when we execute this particular query, then what is going to be happen? Try to understand it. Can now here we have taken select SQL query. Try to understand this. What is this one? Select a star from emp1. Right. Here, of course, we may have some table here. The table data here we are able to have something else. Say, for example, now here we are having emp1 table. In the emp1 table, you might have some data. Like what data is existed here? You can understand it now. envo, ename, eshal. Okay. Then where we are having 111, AAA, 5000, 222, BBB, 6000, 333, CCC, 7000, 444, DDT, 8000. All right, so now this is what exactly the data here we are getting. Now try to recognize this. Okay, guys, just give a minute of time. Guys, just have taken 1 minute gap. Don't worry. Yeah, now let's see this point here. So here we are understanding like what there execute query method. Here we are having some data in our database. Now try to recognize this point, guys, clearly. Understand it, what I am telling to you. First of all, then what I am telling there, when I write this select SQL query, for example, what we are going to do now? First of all, JVM will take this query, JVM will send that query to like what there JDBC driver. JVM will send that query to JDBC driver. After this, JVM will send that SQL query, the JDBC driver to like what there to the connection. Okay, to the connection. Now, after this, connection will carry that SQL query to database engine. Connection will carry that SQL query to database engine. Here in database engine, the database engine is able to execute that query, it is able to fetch the data from database table. Then whatever the data that we fetched from database table, that fetched data will be given back to the connection. Automatically, connection will carry that fetched data to like what there fetched data to JDBC driver. Now the total fetched data will be given to the JDBC driver. Now JDBC driver will send that fetched data to the Java program in the form of a result set object. The total fetched data will be submitted back to the Java application in the form of like what there a result set object. In this result set object, the total data, whatever the data here we provided, the data is going to be existed. That means like what we are able to say no, envo, ename, then ecell 111 and like what there AAA and like what there 5000 data is existed 222 BBB 6000. Next one is 333 CCC. Now here what next one here 7000. Like this here we are getting some data. Now this is exactly called as like what the result set object. Yeah, similarly, for example, if we execute non-select SQL query, intro count is equal to st dot execute update method. If we execute non-select SQL query, st dot execute update method. There we have to use like what there update SQL query, update emp1 set ecell is equal to ecell plus 500, where ecell less than 10,000. Like this, if I use this SQL query, now again, what what exactly the flow of execution is going to be happen here. Now, first of all, JVM will take this particular SQL query. JVM will send that SQL query to JDBC driver. And JVM will send, that means the JDBC driver will send that SQL query to the connection, whereas this connection will carry that SQL query to directly to like what their database engine. When it is coming to the database engine will execute that, it able to perform some operations here. Right now, this is like what their update operations here. Previously, the salaries are like what their 5,000. Now it is like what their 5,500. Now it is like the 6,500. Now it is like the 7,500. Then finally 8,500. Here we are getting salaries. So these are permanent. The changes are going to be happen in permanent. Right. So now in this particular scenario, in this particular scenario, then what exactly the next one here we are able to understand there. So all the updations are performed, but in how many rows that updations are performed here, that is identified. In how many rows that updations are performed, that is identified. Okay. After completion of this particular one, number of rows are identified, that is row count value. That row count value will be given to the connection. Now connection will carry that row count value to directly to like what the JDBC driver. Now directly that row count value is coming to the JDBC driver. JDBC driver will send that row count value to like what there to the JDBC application in the form of an integer value. In the form of like what there an integer value. So here we are able to get like what there row count is a value here we can understand. Right. So now that's it. That row count value is written to like what the row count is a variable that we can identify. That's okay. Now this is the point here we can understand. But another thing here, what I am telling to you, observe carefully. Execute query method we have seen, and execute update method also here we have seen. The execute query method we have seen, and execute update method also here we have seen. Okay. Right. Execute query and execute update methods here we have seen. Next one is, see, execute update method is not only for update operation here. It can be used for insert operation, update operation, delete operation, and some DDL SQL queries like what there, create a table, alter table, and even this kind of things also we are able to provide. That's okay, fine. Then after this, after completion of this particular one, then what next one here? Next one is what there, execute method here we are able to use. This execute method we can use in both the cases, in both the scenarios. Now try to understand it clearly. Boolean b1 is equal to st.execute of select star from emp1, or else we can use like what the boolean b2 is equal to st.execute of update emp1 set ecell is equal to ecell plus 500 where ecell less than 10,000. Same SQL query here we have used. In both the cases I am telling to you, now try to recognize this clearly. What's going to be happen in both the cases? No, just we can understand. When we execute either of these queries, when we execute either of these methods, no, JVM will take this query, JVM will submit that query to like what there, JVM will submit that query to JDBC driver. Now what JDBC driver is able to do here, JDBC driver will send that query to connection. JDBC driver will send that query to like what their connection. So now inside this connection will carry that SQL query to like what there to the database engine. Now database engine is able to perform the either of these operations. If it is select SQL query, then it will fetch the data. If it is non-select SQL query, and it will perform the updations or something else on the database table. When it is completed, whenever it is completed here, then automatically the results are given back to the connection. Database engine will take the results to the connection. Results are given back to the connection. Okay. Whenever this connection is available here, automatically connection will carry the results to like what their JDBC driver. Now JDBC driver will send the results to like what there to the Java application. That's it, guys. Yeah, one point here we have to understand. All right, if the executed SQL query is a if the executed SQL query is a if the executed SQL query is a select SQL query, then execute method will return true value. If the executed query is a non-select SQL query, if the SQL query is a non-select SQL query, then it will return false value. That's it, either the true value or false value. We can understand here we can get like what the true value in the case of this b1, it's like what the true value, And here B2 value is like what there, it's like what there, false value here we are able to get if the queries are executed successfully. If the queries are not executed successfully, then automatically there we are able to get like what there, some other content here. Okay. Okay. So this is overall information here. We can understand the total content. Finally, just we have to close the resources here. To close the resources here, we are able to use like directly what their contact close. If we close the connection, automatically statement is going to be closed. After closing the statement, next one is like what then the statement is also be closed. Then result set is also be closed when we close the connection here. That's enough, guys. Now this is a clear cut information about like what there all the content here. Guys, all of you are getting my point clearly. All of you are getting clarity on this point now. What exactly the content can I specify there? So this is the total JDBC content. Whatever the steps here we are having in JDBC that we understood clearly. Am I clear for all of you guys? All right. So now just with respect to the steps here, I'm telling there. Let me copy this. I want to provide this here, the diagram. That's okay. Nice. After this, after understanding this, what next one here we have to do? At next one here we are able to do, guys. Now here we have to understand how JDBC is providing persistence now. How JDBC is providing data persistence. That point we have not discussed here. Just we understood what is the database now. Right. Now I'm giving some clarity to all of you guys. Now try to understand it clearly. How JDBC is a persistence mechanism. Just I want to give some clarity. Right. Now recognize this. In JDBC persistence mechanism. In JDBC data persistence mechanism. In a JDBC data persistence mechanism. JDBC data persistence mechanism. When we establish connection between Java application and the database. When we establish the connection between Java application and the database, automatically connection will have auto commit mode. Automatically connection will have what there auto commit mode. Understand clearly. Automatically connection will have what there auto commit mode. With this auto commit mode, what's going to be happen there? What it will do there? With this nature, with this auto commit mode, with this auto commit mode, with this auto commit, with this auto commit, connection will send the SQL query to the database engine, and connection will make the database engine to execute the SQL queries, to execute the SQL queries, to execute the SQL queries, and to store the results, to store the results in the database, into the database, into the database permanently. Alright, sir, and to store the results into the database for there permanently. Yes, guys, understand it clearly. So in JDBC data persistence mechanism, when we establish connection between Java application and database, automatically connection will have a commit, auto commit mode. Connection will have auto commit mode. Auto commit mode. With this auto commit connection, with this auto commit mode, connection will send the SQL query to database engine, and connection will make the database engine to execute the SQL queries and to store the results into the database permanently. Okay, here here the results here the results here the results here the results which are stored here the results are stored here the results are stored into the database permanently into the database permanently into the database permanently. So here the results are stored into the database permanently. So JDBC is able to achieve data persistence. JDBC is able to achieve data persistence. That's a point here we can understand. Okay. Now, apart from this, then what next one here we are able to do now? Okay. Then after this, after completion of this, then what next one here? Okay. Then JDBC is a data persistence mechanism which is available for us that we are able to do. That's okay. Good, nice. But the point is what? After completion of this, after understanding this point here, how data persistence? Then what are the problems with this data persistence now? What exactly the problems with the data persistence mechanism with the JDBC? Why we need to go for ORM? So all the points here we are able to understand clearly. Right, so now understand this clearly. I'm able to give some points clarity. Now try to understand it here. All right, if we use JDBC as data persistence mechanism in our applications, in Java applications, or in enterprise applications, then we are able to get the following problems. What problems here we are able to get? What exactly the problems here we are able to get? Now try to recognize the problems here one by one here we are going to understand. All right. Now the first problem is like what there in JDBC. Guys, observe carefully. In JDBC, everybody answer my point here. In JDBC, to perform database operations, in JDBC to perform database operations, we have to write SQL queries explicitly. We have to write what queries explicitly? SQL queries explicitly. Okay. So developers must require SQL awareness. That means SQL knowledge. Developers must require what their SQL knowledge. This is point number one. So it is an extra burden to the developers. SQL is not related to Java. Just it is going to be utilized there to interact with the database. Okay, it is not like related to like what their Java. Understand it clearly. Okay. Right, so now this is exactly the meaning of like what then the first drawback. What exactly the drawback here we're having? This is very first one. All right, so next one is after this. Second point is what there in JDBC. developers must have explicit concentration. Developers must have explicit concentration on what? Connections. Explicit concentration on what? Their connection management and driver management. Okay, and so on. Right, sir. Developers must have explicit concentration on the driver management, connection management, statement management, and so on and so on and so on. So this is extra burden to the developers. This is totally what their extra burden to the developers. Why? Because then every time the developers have to check whether the driver is loaded properly or not, and connections are established properly or not, whether we are getting right connections or not, perfectly the connections we are getting or not, and statements whether we are getting them or not. Now this is another thing here we have to understand clearly. Okay, now the point number 3 here, what I am telling to you, observe carefully. Right, sir. In a JDBC, we have to write a lot of boilerplate code, like establish the connection. Then before this establishment of the connection, like load and register the driver, comma, establish the connection, and close the resources. These steps. This is a lot of JDBC, a lot of boilerplate code here we have to guess. Guys, now tell me what is this boilerplate code? What we have to write this boilerplate code? What is this boilerplate code? What your understanding about boilerplate code? Any idea? Repeatedly used code, and the same code again and again for the applications. Okay. All right, sir. Repeatable code. So that boilerplate code we have to write now. So because of that reason here, so JDBC is not suggestible. So many things here we have to write. Right, sir. Then another point here. Next point here I'm telling there. In JDBC applications, we have to hard code the driver class name, driver URL, database username, and the database password, and so on. Database username and database password and so on. The hard coded content here we have to write. This is another one. Next one is in JDBC transaction support is limited. Transaction support is limited, no good transaction support. Next one is what there in JDBC, almost all the exceptions are checked exceptions. It is somewhat difficult. It's somewhat difficult to handle these exceptions. Almost all the exceptions in JDBC are what they're checked exceptions only. They're somewhat difficult to handle these exceptions. Okay. Next, one more point here. In JDBC, result sets are used to store the fetched data from databases. Where what I am telling there, result set is not serializable. Am I right, guys? Result set is not serializable. When result set is not serializable, when result set is not serializable, then how it is possible to carry the result set object data from one location to another location in the network? Is it possible to transfer the result set object data in the network? Right, sir? So it is not possible to carry result set object in the network. It is not possible to carry result set object in the network. Okay, then we have to do something extra work here. We have to do. We have to transfer the data from result set object to the collection object. Then collection object here we have to send. So that's it. Now there is a process for it. But extra work here we have to do. Okay. Now these are the various minimal drawbacks with our like what there JDBC. Sir, got it or not? So this part is completed, guys. What exactly the problems JDBC? Here we understood that. The next one is like what there data persistence with data persistence through ORM. So from this point onwards, everything is new for you. ORM content we are going to introduce. I'm going to introduce that ORM content or try to recognize this clearly. Okay. So this ORM, then after understanding this ORM, then directly we are going to introduce like what there Hibernate only. Then what is the Hibernate? Then how Hibernate is available? What is the Hibernate architecture? And all the content here we are going to understand clearly. Right, sir? That's all, guys. Now that's all for today. Then tomorrow we'll continue the remaining parts here. Thank you. Then within 2 minutes of time, I'll start Spring Framework. Just open it. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.